On WUFT Midday, the Trump administration's government cuts, deportations, and tariffs caused protests, and brush fires burned thousands of acres of land this weekend. We'll tell you how Floridians were affected.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
Spring has sprung, and we are well into the warm-up here in north central Florida. Let's get right over to UF Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller. Tim, the weather has been a bit gloomy, but the sunshine will return later today.
Yeah, we'll live up to our title of the Sunshine State coming on up, but I want to talk about this. We do have a risk of severe weather this afternoon. That's mostly for the Panhandle. This would be an isolated risk of severe weather. Let's get right to our radar, and I'll show you these little showers near Gainesville. They're sort of falling apart near High Springs. So once they enter Alachua County, that's about all she wrote. The heaviest activity is well off to our west, and that activity will also stay to our west. Broader perspective, here comes a cold front. That's what's triggering our shower and thunderstorm activity. That front will move closer to us and give us an opportunity maybe of a shower or two today. Notice we're going to be warm though, 81 degrees with some hazy sunshine for sure. So a few showers today, fog overnight, and a dry, warm week ahead. We'll talk all about it coming up in just a few minutes.
With tariffs, government cuts, and massive protests around the country, President Trump continues to make changes that challenge the belief of Democratic lawmakers. NBC's Alice Barr tells us how Americans are reacting to these changes and what further decisions will be made as the cabinet convenes today.
Requested that
President Trump holding his next cabinet meeting today after the last one led to reported rifts between a few cabinet secretaries and billionaire cost cutter Elon Musk.
Elon, pay taxes.
Over the weekend, some of the biggest protests yet to government cuts.
This is just craziness happening right now, and we're just fighting back.
I will yell to the top of my lungs, we the people.
Progressive Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drawing tens of thousands against the Trump team's Washington overhaul.
The people of America are going to stand up to Trumpism.
Resign! The people say it's time!
As Democrats search for direction with protests outside the home of the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, after he backed a Republican funding bill to prevent a government shutdown.
Look, I'm not stepping down.
Promising to fight harder.
Donald Trump is a lawless, angry man. He thinks he should be king.
That as the Trump administration is ramping up attacks on judges and lawyers who've stood in the way of the president's agenda, vowing to take a fight to the Supreme Court over the deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador under a rarely used 1798 law.
There are 261 reasons why Americans are safer today, and that's because those people are now in an El Salvador prison.
While deporting another group of Venezuelan migrants Sunday, including alleged gang members, directly to Venezuela.
We're going to continue to arrest public safety threats and national security threats.
After that country's leader agreed to resume taking in its citizens under the threat of more U.S. sanctions. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
With Congress not addressing the debt ceiling, the clock is ticking for the United States to pay their bills. A projection released by the Bipartisan Policy Center estimates the United States will hit the debt ceiling by mid-July. The center said the exact date depends greatly on the revenue collected in the current tax season. Other factors include the strength of the economy, new revenues from tariffs, and changes or reductions by spending in Congress. The U.S. hits roughly $36 trillion debt ceiling on January 21st. The Treasury Department plans to give Congress time to address the debt ceiling.
Governor Ron DeSantis is endorsing Florida's own Dr. Joseph Laddip for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director. Dr. Laddip currently serves as the state Surgeon General. The governor believes he could do more for the state at the national level than in his current role. President Trump originally nominated U.S. Representative Dr. Dave Weldon for the role last year, but his nomination was pulled earlier this month due to fears of him lacking congressional votes to get approved for the role.
Florida House members Friday began digging into questions about property insurance companies sending money to affiliated firms and shareholders while arguing the industry was losing money. During a 3-hour hearing, the House Insurance and Banking Subcommittee grilled state insurance officials about a 2022 report that in part detailed money going in affiliated firms. The hearing came after Tampa Bay Times Miami Herald story last month about the report, which had not been provided to lawmakers or released publicly. Lawmakers said they should have received the report earlier, particularly as the legislature in a 2022 special session passed major changes to bolster insurers. House Speaker Daniel Perez directed lawmakers to conduct hearings that could include issuing subpoenas and taking testimony under oath.
We believe there's a potential that those cries were not real, that their profits were higher than expected, and potentially there was some sort of shell game being played.
The report came during a turbulent time in Florida's insurance market, with companies dropping homeowners, raising rates, and in some cases going insolvent because of financial issues. Lawmakers during the 2022 special session passed a major overhaul that included helping shield insurers from costly lawsuits, an issue the industry blamed for losses.
Brush fires in Miami-Dade County have started to calm down and roads have opened, but with the fire 65% contained, the battle is not over yet. As Mary Bell Rodriguez reports, conditions remain dry, and that's not helping firefighters.
For 9 days now, Florida Forest Service helicopters and Miami-Dade Fire Rescue have been battling the massive brush fire by air, dropping thousands of gallons of water over the flames. Getting to it by ground is a struggle.
This fire is a little unique in the aspect that we are actually using our aircraft to put out more fire than our men and women on the ground, just because they're having trouble accessing it.
But even for these aviation experts, it can be a challenge.
There's extensive smoke. You smell the fire. Visibility is extremely limited. One of the reasons that when you have this many aircraft in the air, it takes an extensive amount of coordination to operate a safe operation.
Friday morning, Chopper 4 captured the line of smoke and flames that has already burned more than 26,000 acres, forcing officials to shut down Card Sound Road indefinitely and are asking people to stay away from the area.
When you see smoke, stay clear. Whether you're flying an aircraft, whether you're working your drone. First of all, this is a fire zone and also a temporary flight restriction. It is 100% illegal to be in this area unless the FAA or the Florida Forest Service authorizes you to be here.
And because of the extremely dry conditions, they say be careful and use caution. And also Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, who visited the site today, says for those who have respiratory issues, take precaution.
We've been reassured that air quality is fine. We do suggest, as always, around a fire that you take precautions. You don't go out and breathe the smoke if you don't have to. And if you have special respiratory issues, to please stay indoors, close your windows and the like.
Disney Park visitors had an interesting start to their Saturday after a fire erupted at the Epcot Park. The fire broke out in an employees-only walk-in cooler area backstage. The dark flames began covering a pavilion in the park's World Showcase area, and guests had to evacuate the Remy's Ratatouille adventure ride. No one was harmed, and the cause of the fire has yet to be released.
The Gainesville Police Department is urging you to protect your kids from stranger video chats. Chat apps like Monkey connect users with strangers through video. Your child may find this harmless, but it can expose minors to risks like sextortion and exploitation. To protect children from these risks, there are measures that you can take to ensure their safety. Reviewing their apps can make sure that they are safe and appropriate. Talk to your kids about the risks of chatting with strangers online, and set guidelines for using social media and other communication apps.
Well, Madison and Krystal, we talked about some of the dry conditions, and we're going to continue to be dry. This is our drying season until we get to the rainy season by about June, July. In the meantime, we do have a little bit of rain to talk about, and that is also maybe the possibility of some severe weather. There's an isolated risk of severe weather for our friends up near the Panhandle. For us here at home, not nearly as much. Decent amount of showers and storms starting to pop. This is all with a cold front that's going to be headed our way. Closer to home, maybe a sprinkle or two, so I'm going to throw in that isolated shower chance, but any big-time rumbles of thunder, I highly doubt it. Our air has been relatively dry, and it's going to remain that way for sure. Current temperature is 74 degrees. Winds are west at 11 miles per hour. Notice the cloud cover. It may look like it's just going to pour any second, but that's just not the case. Maybe just certainly a sprinkle here or there. More temperatures, 73 Gainesville, Jacksonville at 72. Look at Crystal River, as well as the Villages, almost 77 with a little bit more humidity. So here's the big setup. There is the front that's going to be moving in our direction. And once that does so, high pressure then will take over. And once that's the case, we'll dry out once again. So let's look at Futurecast. Starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Notice the heaviest activity in South Georgia, up near, maybe Savannah, and then into South Carolina. That activity moves off towards the east. Another bout of some showers maybe overnight. And then for tomorrow, we'll call it cloudy and foggy in the morning. Once the air sort of mixes out, heat of the day could produce a shower to our north, but I think for the most part, we will remain dry. Futurecast pretty much from the broader perspective shows the same thing. There goes the front. High pressure starts to move on in, and we'll dry it out again and have those temperatures in the 80s with that low humidity. This will be the focus for later on, maybe towards the weekend. We'll throw in a shower chance. Far too early to really talk about all that, but we'll get into that as we get closer towards the weekend. Plans for this afternoon, again, that shower chance minimal, about 20%, but certainly a warm day and a warm evening. So if you've got plans for tonight, I think everything should be fine. Here's tomorrow morning's visibility with the fog. Yeah, it could be sort of thick in places, so careful for that off to work and school tomorrow. As far as morning lows, 59 Gainesville, so that's pretty mild. 61 Jacksonville. Over at the beaches, pretty much the same thing as well. Tomorrow we'll see temperatures in the mid 80s, so that cold front this time of year really just brings drier air. It doesn't bring a lot of colder air by any really stretch of the imagination. Saturday, not too bad. Sunday, the same thing. Right now we'll leave the shower chances out, but certainly mild temperatures for sure. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Again, notice we're going to keep it pretty nice, warming up towards Sunday and Monday with temperatures into the middle 80s and overnight lows into the 50s. Madison, Krystal.
We all want to scream and shout with the Gators back in March Madness. But this may take a toll on your voices. And whether you're planning to watch from your living room, a sports bar, or see the games in person, the strain could lead to some permanent vocal problems. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains how to protect your voice while cheering during the tournament.
It's that time of year again. Hoops, hopes, and fans cheering. But experts say prolonged shouting can actually damage your vocal cords.
Our voice is really kind of our treasure. It's part of who we are, and it's very important to take care of it.
Anne-Marie Parati with the American Speech Language and Hearing Association says excessive use of the voice for extended periods can lead to lesions on the vocal cords. To avoid temporary or even permanent damage, she says to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water and avoid sodas, alcohol, or even fried, salty, or spicy foods, which can all dry out vocal cords. Next, take breaks from cheering to give your voice a rest.
It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Parati says you can find alternative ways to cheer that don't involve your voice, like clapping or using noisemakers. Also, don't smoke or vape and avoid smoky environments, which can inflame vocal cords. After the game, soothe your throat. Sipping warm tea with honey or inhaling steam can help keep vocal cords relaxed. Finally, if you have persistent hoarseness or vocal pain lasting more than 2 weeks, it's time to see a specialist.
The longer you go without getting the help, the more damage can be done.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Popular car company Ford is recalling thousands of vehicles for incorrect repairs. 50,000 cars have been recalled in USA Today, 7 of those models including the Explorer, Edge, Lincoln, Bronco, Sport, Maverick, F-250, and F-350 vehicles. Another recall was made prior to this, according to the National Highway Safety Administration, for camera battery and window issues, but they were not fixed. Other recall issues include vehicle rearview camera distortion, failure to notify of low battery, and of obstacles.
Owning a pet can be costly, but with the proposed tariffs in the mix, it may be getting more expensive. According to USA Today, dog owners can expect costs to increase as much as 7% this year, and cat owners can see a 10% increase as well. If you're looking to buy a dog this year, you can expect to pay up to $1,400 to $1,500, and owning a cat starts at $750. More than half of pet owners are concerned that tariffs or proposed tariffs will worsen the already high prices of pet goods.
The gene firm known to provide genetic insight, 23andMe, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The company has been battling for years to find a sustainable business model, leading to its demise. In a statement announcing the bankruptcy, the board's chair said they determined a court-supervised sale and the CEO has resigned effective immediately. What is unknown is what will happen to all of the genetic data of its customers, and the sale is finalized.
Let's get a look ahead to what's coming up tonight on First at 5 on Channel 5. Tonight, digging deeper into affordable housing projects near Porter's Quarters, why residents say they are concerned about gentrification, plus saving at the pumps. We'll break down the latest gas prices across the state and say some ways you can save. A new makerspace opening in Gainesville, how you can get involved.
Before we go, Tim, one last check on the weather.
Yeah, let's do that. We've had some pretty nice weather over the last couple of days, and we're going to continue that trend. Maybe an isolated shower as that front moves closer to us. That rain chance 30%. I think the heaviest rain will be well to our north. Notice the cold front moves through, but notice the temperatures don't change, right? So that's pretty typical for this time of year. We just get drier air in, so that's not too bad. 80 on Thursday, 82 Friday. We're into the mid 80s for the weekend, and my feeling is by the weekend we'll add a little bit more humidity. So we'll start to feel a little bit more sticky, if you will. But overnight low temperatures still upper 50s to around 60 degrees. That's not too bad. Notice, though, it's above the average. The averages are 77 and 51, so we'll be above average, which is also pretty typical for this time of year.
Thanks for joining us for WUFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
We'll see you later today for First at 5 on Channel 5. Have a great afternoon.